My name is Carlo Mombelli. I'm a South African composer, bass player. I live in Johannesburg, and I'm an educator. I've done workshops all over the world, and just trying to tell stories through. I'm a bass player, but this is just an instrument to paint my pictures. My guitar. Oh, this is a Roger Sadowski guitar. I wanted something very close to a Fender. I had a Fender in 1983, but it was stolen a week before I got married. I had an old, I think it was a 62 or something. But I wanted something quite close to that, and then I got invited to teach at, to do some workshops at Berkeley in Boston, in America. So I was there at Berkeley teaching there for a while, doing some things, and then from the cash I had, the dollars that I had, I went to New York, and I found Roger Sadowski, who was the tech guy for Fender for many, many years, and he started making his own basses, and it's just incredible bass. And then I just used all my money in dollars that I earned from Berkeley and went to his workshop, and I sat with him and I found the bass that I wanted. Listen, I'm not such a technical person, eh? I was using because he also makes his own pickups, and all the guys use the sound of Marcus Miller's from Roger Sadowski. He built all the electronics for Marcus Miller, comes from Roger Sadowski, and this D tuner at the back, he invented it. That Fender now is using. I can go down to a D if I want. I can change it. That's the D tuner, and it's just like a Fender, but with incredible. I can have it as a passive bass if I wanted to, and then now I've got a proper Fender. Actually, it's an active bass, yeah. And everyone's playing these basses. Everyone that you think of has a Roger Sadowski as well, besides the other basses that they've got. All right. Well, the strings. I just want to mention that he also makes strings. So, for me, he had the best strings, Roger Sadowski, the Sadowski strings, and I only played those strings, and then they got too expensive for me. Then I was searching for strings in South Africa that was similar, and then I found DR strings. So I started using DR strings because they were very similar. I need a sound that sings, because I use very thin strings, 40, 60, 80, 100, because of the way that I play, and I use a lot of vibrato and that. And then I found the DR strings, and then DR. I got an endorsement from DR through Marshall Music, which I'm very grateful for. So I use these strings now, the DR low riders, which I get from Marshall Music, and I only use them because I used to use them before I got the endorsement. I could have had many endorsements, but I don't take anything that I don't just want freebies. So when I play it, it means I really am playing. And the thing about these strings, I can get as many sets as I want, but I think I change my strings about 3 times a year because they keep on singing the whole time. So they're amazing strings. So my strings have a big thing to do with my sound. So I travel with strings when I play in Europe, and they got a bass waiting for me there. If I ask for a Fender bass, I always take strings with me. First thing I do is I change the strings, and I have the feeling and the touch of that. Yeah. So that's a big part is my strings. Of course, the wooden bass, and I treat this instrument as if it's an acoustic instrument. People always say, "Why don't you play contrabass?" But this is an acoustic instrument. It goes out of tune. It's got harmonics. It's got overtones. Wood affects the sound. Well, when I was living in Yeovil in the early 80s, and I practiced so much. I practiced. My wife was working, paying for our 300 rand rent a month, and then I developed. I couldn't move I practiced so much that I couldn't move my hand. They had an operation. There's a scar there, but they left my thumb, so I was in a splint So I started developing a technique so that I could still practice. So I started playing. Using hammer off and lift offs. Just from that experience, and I started making bass lines that this is an old one. This is from that time that I started developing chordal approach. So I play a lot of chords because I worked a lot with Brazilian musicians. I was on tour 8 years with different Brazilian bands, and when I was in Europe, I was in Brazil as well. So the way that they use everything on off, and I'm deadening in the bottom notes to get it. So that had a big impact on the way that I play, is the chordal thing from Brazilian. And so I tried to find a way that I could still play rhythm and play the chords at the same time with the thumb. So I'm using a lot of so can you see I'm playing, I use a lot of that type of thing, if I'm, and of course I use effects. You can hear that I've got reverb on. I used to have lots of effects, loads, and I'm trying, as I'm touring, I'm trying to go small. So I use this line 6 here because I can program the things that I need to tell my stories. I have, from the line 6, I go into an old, my first pedal was a pedal actually that my wife bought me. It was in the first year that we were married, actually. So I was 23, and she bought me one of those Boss OC octopedals, which I used a lot. I still have it. It still works, and it sounds amazing. And those delays are Boss delay pedals, the DD whatever it is, number it is. Yeah. And what I do is I put that on a stand, and on an iPad stand now with elastics, and I play through that. And with the delay pedal, if you play while I'm playing, I can, you can really bring the delays. You can really sink the pitch down or take it, so I can paint wherever I want to go with this stuff. So from what I heard in nature, the delay. So I've got set my line 6, and I've got a reverb. A very, very it's actually too much here. I would take it off. Reverb, you shouldn't be able to hear it. You should feel it. But sometimes while I'm playing, I want to take myself into a church. Then I can push my pedal down. And I can go out again just by my foot. And I wanted to find a way of making my playing more voice-like, as if I was singing with the bass. And then I know everyone's using this reverb, the little TC that you can reverse it. So I've got the reverse on. So when I push it down, I get more delay, and I can reverse my sound. So That's just, and if I'm playing, I can just go out and in this as I want, and do. All right. Then I can also. I've set it. I basically just use 3 settings. For me, it's a pity that they didn't make a stomp box without this one. That I just need 2, basically, and maybe I'll use a little TC reverb unit. I used to have a TC M2000, but now to carry that around is a mission. But now they make one that's only got this one. If I could have one that just came out with 2. That's like perfect. I don't know why they never made that, but this is perfect because I've got a lot of effects. But if I can manipulate my sound to take it up 2 octaves, but I use it to make it more voice-like. So if I want to. And I've got the reverse on. That's what I if I want to, and there's a looper on here as well, which is brilliant, but I don't use a looper. What I do is I take my signal and I split it into an AB box, and then I've got a direct sound into a mixer, and then another line goes into a loop, a separate loop with a volume, and then back into the mixer, so that I've got 2 lines that split and go back into my amp. So if I'm looping here, I go back here, and I can bring the volume down on this one if I'm playing a. I would, for example, loop this, and then and then I would use this other effects to tell my stories.